have thought. Ooh. You know, it's a different style of training, but it's
come on, help.
Chris Eubank Jr. has been training relentlessly in his training camp ahead of his fight with Conor Benn, as he seems too focused on the fight now. However, Chris Eubank Jr. also discussed the 100,000-pound fine he faces for slapping an egg into Conor Benn's face during a press conference, expressing his intention to appeal the fine, which he described as an absolute disgrace, believing it to be unfair, especially when compared to other fines imposed for actions he considers worse. Eubank Jr. pointed out that in poker, a loss of 100,000 pounds can potentially be recovered in the next hand, but once the fine is paid, it's gone forever, highlighting how the financial penalty in this case felt much harsher and more permanent.
Well, I haven't paid that fine yet, and we are going to appeal because I think that's an absolute disgrace of a number that they're trying to charge me. I think it's very unfair compared to what others have been fined for, you know, a lot worse acts, in my opinion. But yeah, the fine definitely is worse, because in poker you can lose 100,000 and you can win it right back in the next hand. This fine is, once I pay it, it's gone forever, you know, so we'll see what happens.
Moreover, Callum Simpson has really enjoyed the build-up to the fight and feels that everyone has been excited about it as well. He hopes the actual fight will live up to the expectations and be a proper, exciting contest.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think everyone's enjoyed the build-up to the fight. I just hope that the actual fight builds up to what everyone's expecting, a proper fight between them both.
What are you doing if someone slaps you in the head with an egg at a face-off?
I haven't got a clue, mate. Honestly, I haven't got a clue. I'm not the violent type, but obviously I probably have to make a quick judgment call if you can class it as self-defense. I reckon you'd pass for self-defense. Depends how quick security can grab you. Depends.
Although he doesn't think the weight difference between the fighters will be too much for Conor, he believes Eubank will have the advantage in terms of size and skill. He feels that Eubank has a much higher level of sport and experience compared to Benn, and he thinks Eubank could win the fight on points.
I wouldn't say it's too much. I think, you know, it'll be alright at the weight, but I just think that Eubank will be the much bigger man, and I think Eubank's fought at a much higher level than Benn has. I think that's all it is, and I think Eubank will probably win on points.
Simpson also acknowledges Benn's tenacity and hunger, saying that Benn has a proper dog in him, meaning he has a fierce determination. Despite the odds being stacked against him, Simpson believes Benn's heart and drive could make the fight an interesting one. He hopes that the fight turns out to be a good one, full of action and excitement.
I think that Benn has got that tenacity, that hunger. Got a proper dog in him, hasn't he? So it'll be hopefully it makes that to be a good fight.
Amir Khan previously gave his prediction for the contest, but has now done a 180 on who he's picking to win. Speaking with Frachon Fighting, Khan said, "I was saying Conor was going to win a couple of weeks ago. I thought that he was more of the aggressor, but then looking at the size difference and realizing he's going up a weight, not up one, but maybe 2 weights." Khan further added, "These weights are made for a purpose, and even though I went up and fought Canelo, I know the difference. But then again, Chris Eubank is no Canelo, but I still feel that Eubank has a lot more weight, more power, more strength, and the height and the size over Conor Benn. I've got him winning that fight now." Big John Fisher expressed concern over Eubank's mental state after he smashed an egg into someone's face, feeling it showed he wasn't in a good place. While acknowledging that such acts generate attention, Fisher said he doesn't like that side of boxing, including trash talking or dramatic stunts. He believes it's unnecessary for fighters to engage in such behavior to promote a fight, as it takes away from the integrity of the sport.
To be honest with you, I was a bit concerned about Eubank's mental state, because smash an egg into someone's face, you're not in a good place. So hopefully it's just because of emotions and you know. But yeah, it did concern me, because people like all this about boxing. I don't like that side of boxing. I don't think you need to do any of that trash talking or all the acts. Obviously, it's got everyone talking about it, but for Eubank to do that to him shows he's not in a good place for me. But it's down to them what they do and how they do it. So, but for me personally, I don't like watching things like that.
However, Chris Eubank's training camp is intense, focusing on physical conditioning and technique. His workouts include speed drills, footwork practice, and strength training to improve endurance and power. Eubank's team of coaches pushes him through rigorous sparring sessions, ensuring he's in peak condition for any challenges in the ring.
You know, it's a different style of training, but it's
Come on, help Sabucray, that's what's up.
Mental toughness is another key focus in Eubank's camp. He trains in isolation to block out distractions, honing his focus and concentration. This approach helps him maintain composure under pressure. By strengthening both his physical and mental resilience, Eubank prepares himself to stay sharp and ready for any challenge he faces. Moreover, Spencer Farron expressed his excitement for the upcoming fight, highlighting how it has captured widespread attention. He pointed out that the event is bringing people together, with everyone talking about it, making it a big deal. Spencer remembered the first fight between the two fathers, which took place on November 18th, 1990. He recalled how it felt like the whole world stopped to watch that fight.
I'm looking forward to that fight. For the simple fact is, like, that event within itself is fantastic because it's crossed over. Lots of people are talking about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. There was nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely excellent. And plus, I can remember when the two fathers first fought, and the second time is when they fought in October of 93. But when the fathers first fought, when they first went at it, I remember that fight clearly in my head. It was a Sunday night. It was at November 18th. 1990, and it was like, it seemed like the world stopped to watch that fight.
He praised both fighters for promoting the fight in an authentic way, without any fake drama, which only adds to the excitement. Spencer is eager for the match and wishes both competitors the best. He believes the fight is being built up genuinely and not through artificial hype. He's confident that the better fighter will come out on top and is looking forward to seeing who wins. Spencer's appreciation for the fight goes beyond just the competition. He values how it has captured the public's attention and brought people together to talk about it.
And this has drawn something from it because everybody's talking about it. And fair play to both men. They're selling the fight really well, which is genuine. It's not orchestrated. Oh, you're going to do this. No, it's proper. So I'm looking forward to that fight. May the better man win.
In an interview with Box Nation, Billy Joe Saunders weighed in on his former opponent's chances of being successful on April 26th as he backs the younger man to do the job and win via knockout. He stated, "As of late, he's looked a little bit old, should we say. And don't forget, Eubank's not the kind of boxer to get on behind his jab, get a nice lead, use his footwork. He's been in some scraps, and he's been in some good scraps with not the best opponents, but they've still give him some good work. I just think if Conor catches him clean and can follow up on one of them good shots, sort of like a Liam Smith shot, I think Conor Benn knocks him out." Carl Froch shared his lack of enthusiasm for a potential fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. He pointed out that Eubank Jr. has lost to top fighters like George Groves and Billy Joe Saunders and rarely fights, only once a year. Froch criticized Eubank's recent performances, mentioning that he appeared slow, off balance, and with a weak chin. He also noted that at 36, Eubank once talked about fighting elite boxers like Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, but now he is nearing the end of his career.
The Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight does absolutely nothing for me. Really? Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. lost to George Groves, he lost to Billy Joe Saunders, he doesn't box, he boxes once a year. He looked terrible in his last fight. He was slow with his jab, he was leaving his chin in the air, his balance looks like it's gone. He's 36 years old, talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez and taking on all these top, he was talking about Triple G for a while, who's now gone 40 and retired.
Froch also questioned Conor Benn's achievements, saying his victory over Chris Algieri was his only significant win and reminding everyone of his failed drug test. Froch argued that Benn has not faced enough quality opponents or shown real growth as a fighter. He believes the fight would be close because Eubank would be drained to make 160 pounds, while Benn would be moving up from 147. In the end, Froch felt the fight would lack excitement, have no real significance, and not prove anything.
Conor Benn? What's Conor Benn done?
Not a lot, to be fair.
He beat Chris Algieri and failed, he's failed that drugs test. We're not seeing him do anything. He's fought nobody, he's not developed. He's not developed, he's done nothing. So for Conor Benn to jump in there with Chris Eubank Jr., the only reason that fight would be close is because they're probably going to drain Eubank down to 160, a middleweight. And then, but Conor Benn's having to come up from 147. So
the gap there,
it's not an exciting fight. He don't prove anything.
Darren Barker stressed the importance of fighters mixing up their offense and defense to stay unpredictable in the ring. He explained that boxing is a delicate balance between winning and losing, and fighters must think strategically to outsmart their opponents. Barker emphasized that having a varied approach, particularly with body shots, is key to achieving success.
Yeah, I've said this numerous times, I think, and not just about this fight in particular. I think all fighters need to vary their attacks. They need to vary their defense. You can't be predictable in this sport. You've got to remember, boxing, there's such a fine line between winning and losing. There's only so much you can do. You've got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a brain, and who can use that brain better than the other. And I think variation in all of your work is so important. So yes, attacks to the body going to be paramount.
Barker also pointed out that Conor Benn has a stronger jab than Chris Eubank Jr., whose jab has been inconsistent in the past. Although Eubank Jr. has improved his jab under Roy Jones, it's still a punch he often neglects. Barker concluded that Benn will need to bring variety to his strategy when they face off on April 26th.
I think the jab, crucial. I think out of the two, Conor has the better jab. At times, Eubank Jr.'s jab's been non-existent. We see him starting to use his jab a little bit more under his short time with Roy Jones, but it's a shot that he neglects. So yeah, I think variation, certainly from Conor Benn, is going to be much needed on April 26th.
George Groves stated that he would always pick Eubank Jr. to beat Benn, citing Eubank's size, experience, and ability to handle pressure. He also questioned Conor Benn's current mindset, noting that while Benn looks strong on the pads, he hasn't fought in a long time. He stated, "I'd always really pick Eubank Jr. to beat Benn. He's naturally bigger, has been in bigger fights, is more experienced, dealt with the pressure," said Groves when speaking to Boxing News. "I'm not sure what state Conor Benn's head is at right now. Maybe it's a good time to get Eubank, maybe not. He looks a force on the pads, but I haven't seen him fight in a long time." Joshua Buatsi emphasized the need to acknowledge the mental toughness of fighters like Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. He praised Eubank Jr. for staying composed and confident after his knockout defeat to Liam Smith, showcasing his resilience in their rematch. Despite facing harsh criticism and being booed in Manchester, Eubank Jr. bounced back to stop Smith, proving his strength of character.
Hey, when I say I've got to give credit to them, I do give him credit because he's tough. Do you know what I mean? And let me bring this up, Andy. Let me bring this up about Eubank Jr. No one gives him credit for how nonchalant he was when he lost to Liam Smith. He said it was a punch from the gods. We were like, no, it wasn't. You got starfished. But guess what? In a rematch, he had the same energy. He had and the same approach for the first fight. He had that nonchalantness, that approach that I'm gonna beat you regardless. Even though he had been knocked out a few months before, he came to Manchester, was booed by 1 million people. I was there, and he came out and he won.
Buatsi also highlighted the determination of both Eubank Jr. and Benn, noting how they've faced significant challenges, but have continued to push through. He pointed out that these fighters have battled through adversity, and their ability to rise above it demonstrates their true mental fortitude. Buatsi's comments reflect the importance of respecting fighters who remain strong in the face of difficulty.
It's not spoken about so much, like the credit isn't given enough to him, how he bounced back from that upset, came in a rematch and beat the guy, stopped him. It's not enough credit there. And for Conor Benn as well, fights like his dad. So you can't say much there. Do you know what I mean? The will is there, the willpower is in there. So when I say we got to give these two fighters credit, we genuinely do, because it's a tough sport, and they've been in tough fights, they've come out on top, and now they're creating this big fight in April.
Duke McKenzie voiced concerns about Eubank's weight cut for the fight, particularly the large gap between his natural weight and the 160 pounds he needs to make. He warned about the dangers of weight draining, explaining how it can weaken a fighter physically and affect their performance. McKenzie also reflected on his own past struggles with weight cutting, stressing the harmful impact it can have on a boxer's ability to perform at their best.
My concern for Eubank is the amount of weight this boy's got to cut to come down to, I think the fight's made at 160 pounds, is that right? Right. So he's got to come down from 100, from whatever his walking round weight is. Let's say he walks around at 180 pounds when he's out of training. That's like 20 pound weight difference, right? That he's got to lose. It's not safe. It's not. He can't possibly be at his physically strongest. He can't. And he's really putting himself on the line, right? Because when your weight weakened, I know I've been weight drained in fights previously, so I'm speaking from a point of reference. When you're weight drained, it doesn't matter what you eat on the day, it doesn't make you stronger.
Tony Sims, Conor Benn's trainer, anticipated an exciting fight, emphasizing that both fighters are highly motivated, fighting for their legacies and their fathers' names. He expressed strong confidence in Benn's victory, looking forward to the big event and believing fans will be eager to watch.
I think it's going to be a great fight, I really do, and both boys want to win this fight badly, obviously for their name and for their fathers, and I believe that it's going to be a great fight, but I strongly believe that my man will come out the victor of the fight, and but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a momentous occasion, and I'm sure all the fans are looking forward to it as well, and I'm sure as a boxing fan that everyone will be tuning in to watch it as well.
Tony Bellew predicted that Conor Benn would dominate the first 6 rounds with ferocity and power, confident that he would finish the fight early. He also criticized Chris Eubank Jr., stating that Eubank's belief in his boxing skills was misplaced and that Benn was the superior fighter. He stated, "First 6 rounds, I think Conor is going to be so ferocious, so brutal, so vicious. I think he gets the job done then. But I will tell you what, if you have not got the job done by round 6, that's when weight classes exist for a reason. I actually think Conor is a far better fighter than Chris Eubank Jr. is a boxer, and that's the problem Chris Eubank Jr. is having. He's got this thing in his mind that he's a masterful boxer. No, you're not." Spencer Oliver views Chris Eubank Jr. as the favorite for the fight, citing his larger frame, extensive experience, and history against top-tier opponents. Eubank Jr. has fought at 168 pounds, while Conor Benn is stepping up from 147 pounds, which presents a significant challenge for Benn.
I think Chris Eubank Jr. has to start the favourite. He's the bigger guy of the two. He's been the more tested of the two. He's boxed at a higher level. Conor Benn has had his troubles outside of the ring with the 2 foul test that put him inactive. I mean, I know he had a couple of low-key fights, but not very active, not as active as he'd like to have been. He was boxing at 147. This is now up at 160. Anyone that will think, well, it's not that much of a jump. Trust me, it is. For boxers, it's a huge jump, And Chris is a guy coming down from 168. He boxed George Groves at 168 in the World Super Series. And, you know, he boxed him at 168. He come back down
I never
to
really fancied him at super middle, though, did you?
No, I didn't fancy him at super middle. He was too small against George Groves. We could see that. 160 is his weight. It is tough there. They put a rehydration clause of 10 pounds in there, but I don't think that'll make much of a difference, because 10 pounds is quite a lot of fluid to put back into the body.
Although Eubank Jr. has the advantage of experience, Spencer noted that age could be a factor, while Benn, still young, has much to prove. This clash represents a pivotal chance for Benn to demonstrate his ability to compete at the highest level, making it a compelling battle between youth and experience.
But Chris has to start a favourite because of where he's positioned, but he's getting older now, and Conor Benn is young, and there's a lot on the line for him, and I think it's a coming of age fight for Conor. We'll see now just how good he is. Is he good enough? Can he compete at that level? Because Chris has always sort of been there or thereabouts, world level. So it's an interesting fight.
The problem with Eubank's record is this, Spencer, surely.
Don Charles shared his perspective on the upcoming fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, explaining that he is close to both fighters' families. Due to this, he decided to stay neutral and refrain from choosing a side. Nonetheless, he recognized the importance of the match and expected an exciting battle, wishing both fighters the best of luck.
Again, another historic fight. You know, wow. Again, I don't like sitting on the. I'm gonna sit on the fence on that one, and I'm close with both parents. I'm you know, I'm gonna sit on the fence. All I can say on that one, may the best man win. It's gonna be a terrific fight.
Darren Till expected the fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. to be a close 50-50 contest. While he acknowledged Eubank Jr.'s advantage in experience and weight, Till still believed Benn would win. He pointed out that if Benn were to defeat Eubank Jr., it would raise questions about Eubank Jr.'s future in boxing, though he stressed that a loss wouldn't ruin Eubank Jr.'s reputation. Despite this, Till thought Benn had the upper hand in this matchup.
Yeah. Maybe then you just don't know. Maybe where does he go from there if Conor beats him? I'm not trying to say Conor's any less of him, but yeah, Chris is obviously the guy who should beat him because he's a lot heavier, maybe more seasoned. But you know, it's definitely a 50-50 fight in my eyes. I think Conor's going to beat him. So yeah, you can see where that thought process comes from. But you know, who knows? I know Chris likes to play poker a lot, so maybe comes back for the money or something.
Teddy Atlas characterizes Conor Benn as a fighter who excels when he's aggressive, preferring to take charge and dictate the rhythm of the fight with his sharp technique. He stays on the offensive, always moving forward to overpower his opponents. In contrast, Chris Eubank Jr. relies more on a defensive approach, keeping his distance and using unorthodox punches, striking when his opponents close the gap. Eubank's style often frustrates his foes as he baits them into rushing in, only to land precise, unconventional hits.
You have Ben, who's aggressive, likes to be aggressive in a responsible way, but he likes to be on the offense. He likes to be the boss coming forward, and he has good skill sets, good technique. And then, of course, you have Eubank, who likes to control the outside. You know, he likes to snipe you. He likes to catch you coming in. You know, he likes to throw awkward, unorthodox shots at you from different angles. You know, and make it a fight where it's frustrating for you. Where, you know, if you're coming a little over anxious, you know, he can catch you with a sniper shot. So you got two contrasting styles.
Teddy Atlas points out the weight disparity between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., noting that Benn is the smaller fighter while Eubank is the bigger one. The bout, set at a catch weight, follows the traditional boxing practice of meeting at a neutral weight. Atlas draws comparisons to legendary boxers like Sam Langford, who moved between weight classes, illustrating that such weight adjustments are a part of boxing's rich history. This adds an interesting dimension to the fight, as contrasting styles and physical sizes are set to collide.
It's a fight, and then you got the weight. You got to figure that in too, because you got Ben, you know, where he's a naturally smaller guy. Obviously, Eubank is naturally a bigger guy. You have a compromise in the weight. You have a catch weight, but again, that's history. The history of this sport, you go back in the 20s to 30s, or even before that, catchweight fights happened all the time. You had lightweights like Sam Langford. You guys don't know Sam Langford.
I know.
Sam Langford, oh my God.
Yeah.
You got to talk about Sam Langford. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that fought from lightweight to heavyweight, and he beat them all. I mean, so it's nothing new to have guys moving up or moving down in weight in this great sport.
Sam Jones expressed strong belief that Conor Benn would come out on top, emphasizing Benn's youth and relentless drive as major advantages. While he acknowledged Chris Eubank Jr.'s tough loss to Liam Smith, he praised Eubank for showing resilience by winning the rematch. Jones also noted that the timing of the fight favors Benn, making him the favorite.
I just think Conor Benn's gonna win. Too young, too fresh, and although, listen, Eubank, it took a lot for him to come back after getting viciously knocked out by Liam Smith, to come back and beat Liam Smith.
He complimented Eubank's boxing abilities, but suggested that had Eubank been with a major promoter like Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn from the start, his career could have been even more successful. Despite Eubank's charisma and sharp wit, Jones ultimately favored Benn in this matchup.
There's been a bit of a... I just think the fight's happening at the right time for Conor Benn. I think the fight's happening at the right time, and I favour Conor Benn in the fight.
Yeah.
I think Eubank Jr. is good for boxing. Genuinely, I think Chris Jr. is good for boxing. I think that if he was promoted by a Frank Warren or an Eddie Hearn back in the day when he turned pro, he would be an even bigger star than what he is now, because of how he is. He's funny, like he's mildly, he's quite funny, isn't he, Eubank Jr.? He speaks well. But yeah, I think he's good for boxing, but I just think Conor Benn's going to chin him.
Liam Smith predicted a Eubank win, but also gave his view that either man could get the stoppage. He stated, "I still pick Chris on points, but I won't be surprised if Conor catches Chris and knocks Eubank out. And I won't be surprised if Chris stops Conor. Conor has been down off fewer people than Chris." So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.